How's it going? Welcome to the podcast today. Today we're blessed to have Perry in the house. It's not going to be an interrogation, even though it looks like it's that way. There's no big spotlight on Perry right now. We're glad he's here, and he's going to talk a bit about sort of how the men's group that the three of us belong to came about. And Perry, you can take it away whenever you'd like.
Hey, sounds good, Tony. Thank you, Tony and Rick, for inviting me here today. We're going to talk about how I first came about with the men's group was through illness. Lots of times the Lord uses that in your favor and you don't realize it.
Right.
About 2 years ago, I was very ill. I get bit by a tick, small as a mustard seed, and nearly destroyed my body. I was in the hospital, taken to emergency, heart and kidney failure. My wife was removed from the room right away. I was rushed into ICU. During my time in the ICU, I was there for about less than a week. But I had what I always wished for and was kind of jealous other guys had, was the God experience.
Oh,
Okay.
During about my second or third day, I was very calm,
Mhm.
and I felt I was in my old school classroom, grade 5.
Wow.
Okay.
I looked up and I could see the two dark green chalkboards, but they were clean. There was
Right.
not a blemish on them at all.
Hmm.
And shortly after that, I came to. There was a gentleman standing over my neck. He was shoving the third IV into my neck. Because
Wow.
I was
Wow.
sick.
That's something.
His question to me was, Mr. Horn, did anybody ask you if you code, what do you want us to do?
So
Yeah.
they actually asked you about
He
a
asked
do
me
not
that.
resuscitate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he asked me that, and I told him, bring me back.
Okay.
So from then on, it was a fight with the antibiotics to cleanse my system. I looked like a wreck, but it was hard go. After 5 days, I could barely walk. To get home, I had to climb 5 steps, which would mimic my house.
Yeah.
They wheeled me down through a bunch of corridors, and they opened up the physiotherapy room. In front of me was the 5 steps, and I knew I could beat this.
Okay.
Walked up the 5 steps, down the 5 steps. It was a lot of pain and stress, and when I got down, the wheelchair was gone. You got to walk back.
Oh.
So,
Well, I guess they didn't want to discourage you off the get-go, eh?
No.
so I made my way back, and finally, at the very end of the day, the doctor came and saw me and said, will you behave yourself at home? You won't do anything silly. You're on that borderline. You can come and go. And she discharged me.
Okay.
The next few weeks was ups and downs. The first day it was amazing. There was a young couple that came from my church that bought me food on the very first day. She was 8 months pregnant.
Wow.
It was Todd and Rebecca from the church. It was amazing. That was an uplifting point of my start of my recovery.
Mhm.
Um,
And your church is Regal Heights Baptist Church in Dartmouth?
yes, Regal Heights in Cole Harbor. I work at Autoport, which is less than 500 yards away from where I live.
Right.
For the next month, I had very few visitors.
Okay.
I had a good friend of mine, Wendell Wise, came to visit. He called me on the phone. We kept in contact. From work over the month at 500 yards away, very little contact.
Wow.
Wow.
So I sat discouraged on my deck because at first I could only walk about 5 feet and
Right.
I was exhausted.
Okay.
But I had time, sit on my deck, listen to nature, listen to God, and hear things in my heart. And from my heart, I understood and reflected back onto the classroom.
Okay.
And my that I realized was my God experience. That the slate had been clean, but I had to fill it. So in my heart, I started to think, what was the hardest thing in my life was being a guy and you're alone, chips are down, you're still alone, nobody's there with you.
Right.
I said, I gotta change this. So as I got stronger, contrary to what my children wanted, I decided I'm going back to work because it's hard to understand. I love my job. I love the people I work with. So I went back to work. Started back at church. I started talking to my friend Wendell, another gentleman, Wally, and the associate pastor, Emma.
Okay.
And we started to formulate a plan of a men's ministry, what it was going to look like in the church, because there was nothing beyond that hour in the Sunday.
So, question for you, Perry. I'm just going to walk things back a bit before we progress. This is, first of all, an amazing story.
Yes.
And the fact that you didn't give up, because there's a lot of people, right? Sometimes we get put in the pressure cooker, right? And you think you're going to get fried and you're going to be overdone and you just want to give up some days, right? And sometimes I find that the Lord will let things happen to us and we'll question why. Why did this happen to me, right? And you start thinking, okay, is someone trying to do something to me, or someone trying to tell me something? And sometimes God makes things happen to slow us down. Would you say that's what you thought? Did God reveal that to you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it, Tony. Once you had time to sit down, reflect, and understand, because for 35 years of my life, I gave my heart and soul to the Lord.
Right.
It was His. I'm walking on a journey that'll never be finished. I'm progressing each and every day. I'm growing closer. But now with the Men of Excellence, there's more of us walking the road together.
There is. Yes.
So initially, the four of us took this to our pastor to give his blessing.
Yeah. And that's Jason Cole, right?
Jason Cole. Yeah. So we got Jason's blessing. Then we had started with some things that we wanted to accomplish. We wanted for men to meet together. Mm-hmm. We decided we were going to do a McDonald's night once a month.
Okay.
We had put down that we were going to try to do a meeting at the church every second month, meeting at a restaurant, out in the public. We wanted this in the public. We don't want it hidden behind church doors, because this is for the men of the church and for the men of the world to get exposed to the men of the church.
Yeah.
So we did those objectives. We were trying to do a Bible study, and we had these goals that we started. In year one, it worked well. Halfway through the year, Mother's Day came around, and God slapped me upside the head again. And He said, "Hey, women shouldn't be working on Mother's Day." So I challenged the guys.
Right.
And the guys came to the challenge.
Yeah.
They did the worship singing that they do once a year.
Yeah.
They did the door, they greeted. The message wasn't our pastor's message. We had somebody else do the message. And it was amazing to see the men come forward. During our time as Men of Excellence in the first year, we decided we were going to do a recognition. So, gentleman in our church, Reg Wilkes, who I hope to grow up to be like someday, because Reg is an awesome guy.
He is a great guy.
We presented him with a plaque for the Men of Excellence in front of the church. It was amazing. The men have stepped up a few times in front of the church. They've been challenged to come forward for other recognitions. And the church is amazed to see these men coming forward. They're not all stepping forward yet. There will come a time.
More work to do, Perry?
More work to do. Yeah. So year one went along very well. Partway through the year, Reg, again, solid guy.
Yeah.
What about the men who are suffering out there in the world? So we started a collection for Souls Harbor.
Yeah.
Okay. Every time we met together at McDonald's or the restaurant or at church, we would put money together. I think the first year we raised over $400.
That's awesome.
So it was pretty amazing. Year two, we're still growing. We've made more commitments. It's advancing. We're into 2024. We did a Bible study a couple times at the church. We did a retreat here in Dartmouth. So it's growing. During the run of a month, we have about 15 guys that will contact
Right.
and show up at some sort of event that's happening. The list of names that have come over the last 2 years is about 50 guys.
Yeah.
So we're only hitting, a quarter of the guys that are really using it to full advantage, but it's open. It's never a closed door policy that you didn't pay your dues, you're not coming back.
Or you didn't attend this many events, you're no longer welcome.
Yeah, your dues were paid 2,000 years ago.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So I'm going to ask you, Perry, so why did you guys find it so important to hold like a coffee night at McDonald's out in the public? Weren't you worried that, first of all, A, you guys would get too big to outgrow that? B, don't you think other people around you would think, man, these are just some crazy Christian people? Like, oh my goodness.
Good question, Tony. But, what's the Lord asked us to do but to get out in the public? How are we going to help anybody if we stay behind our own closed doors? We've had people come in and out of our group from the public. They're watching all the time. We go to McDonald's now regularly every Thursday night.
Okay.
They know who we are. We go to the Palladium restaurant in Cole Harbor. They know who we are. They greet us with open arms. They put us in the middle of the mix. It's just amazing to see what's happening with these guys. The outreach that the guys do, it's one-on-one. When a guy's hurting, maybe it just takes that phone call. We've got a team now that's being challenged with prayer. We'll send out a list of prayers to the guys during the month. The guys will chime back in, I'm praying right now. Okay? Which means so much to the group, means so much to each other to know. We go to McDonald's, we talk about everything in the world. We talk about everything in the church at the same time. Nobody holds back.
And I just want to say, Perry, that both Tony and I do attend the McDonald's Thursday nights at 7 p.m. and it's a great time. Having us meet at the Portland Street McDonald's on the corner of Baker and Portland Street in Dartmouth. Good central location, lots of room. We have a big table that we sit at, and we just talk. And I like how you and Wendell have set this up. You're not only looking at the nights, once a week when the men get together, but you also do Bible studies with us. We have the opportunity to have a breakfast together, whether at the Palladium or the Lake. Is it Lake Echo Baptist? Yeah, that's a good men's breakfast too.
Yeah.
And we get out there and see other men too.
And the thing is too, I think people got a preconception when you're doing any type of Christian ministry. They think all you do is talk about Christian ministry.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we talk about many different things, right? It's all right.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, don't worry about it. So the thing is, we talk about many different things, and that's the thing to sort of get out there is just because it's a Christian-based group doesn't necessarily mean, you know what I'm saying, that you're not doing life normal, because I think sometimes people have a misconception on what Christianity looks like, and they think, yes, it's 24/7. I try to be as connected to God as possible, but you're also human, and God wants you to have relationships with one another, right?
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. And just to go back on one instance, when we initially talked with Pastor Jason,
Yeah.
we made it plain that there was 4 of us at that time that were
Involved.
starting the
Yeah.
foundation of this, and that for Pastor Jason to be involved, he was a man,
Yeah.
not a pastor.
I like
It
that.
was not
It is.
something that he needed to worry about to run as another part of the church. We needed him to understand that he came as a man at the table.
As a man and a husband.
Not,
Right.
And if-
not,
He's just one of the guys, right?
just
when he-
one of
when
the
he does
guys,
attend.
Wasn't for him to open up in prayer. It wasn't for him to give scripture. It was for him to come as a man with his needs and to listen for his input,
Right.
which was very important for the dynamics of the group, because we just need him to realize this is his part that he plays.
I like how you and your partner Wendell have done such a good job. Now you meet on weekly, or is it? Do you
We meet once a month.
Once a month? Okay.
At McDonald's for a meeting, and all we do, we don't facilitate anything. We just make sure that the next month is set up.
Right.
So sort of come up with a game plan type idea,
got
right?
The game plan, we want to make sure we're on, and we'll look and we'll maybe assess who's gone missing, why.
How do you reach out to them?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
And who needs to be reached out, because it's like any group. It's an awesome group of guys. Like I told you, 15 guys will meet during the month. There's 50 names there. Some guys will come and go, but the seed's been planted. Okay.
Yes.
Whether it's a worldly seed or it's a Christian-based seed, it's been planted, and maybe they'll come back again.
Yeah. And the thing is too, Perry, is I think a lot of our listeners underestimate, if you don't belong to a Christian-based group based out of your church or out of another church or whatever it happens to be, as long as Jesus Christ is the biblical foundation for that, for the group, you're fighting a silent war. Really, you're fighting. And the thing is, right? There's power in prayer. So I'll interject here for a few seconds and hijack. That's okay. So, like, we never know what's going to happen in life. Things always happen. Things come up all of a sudden. And it's how we react to those things, right? And sometimes God, again, lets things happen in order to engage something in you so that you got to think differently or act differently. I very much myself have big time trust issues just growing up and burned so many times by people. Very hard for me to trust. I trust the guys in the group, but it's like I trust guys in the group with certain things. Do you know what I mean? Same as when I was a supervisor in the military. I knew the guys to go to when I needed a specific job done. And if I just needed a job done, I'd go to other guys and say, hey, do you mind doing this? Because I knew who I could trust and who I couldn't with fulfilling certain roles, right? So rewind 2 weeks ago, Brenda goes in for routine EKG on a Tuesday. Her heart rate's 176 beats per minute or 167. Regardless, it was high. They took her to the Emerge at the Cobequid, and they did blood work. They did an x-ray, found there was water around her heart and water in her lungs. So then we've got a 17-year-old daughter, this pretty active kid. She was out as area transfer for school, so we got to get her to and from school. So it's just a lot, right? And I really like having Brenda around, not only because she's my wife, but because she can sort of take the load off, because I can get easily bogged down, feeling anxious and stuff. So for me to even have said anything to you, that was big for me, because I don't like asking for help, because I feel there's people in the group that need help more than I need help. But I had to just let you guys know, because if I wouldn't let you know, you wouldn't have known nothing, right? And then the great thing is you guys have that Facebook group that only the guys belong to. And this is the other thing about the men's group is, I mentioned about trust earlier. The big thing about the men's group is many times you tell people, hey, what's mentioned in the group stays in the group. You don't go, you know what I'm saying? You don't go home and tell your wife or whoever, Buddy Joe at work or whatever, what's going on with a specific person they may know. So all that to say is, these guys activate in the group. Well, Perry texted me first. I texted Perry, and then he said, so what do you want me to tell the guys? I said, well, have them pray, because this is what's going on. And then I got Missy engaged, which is Jason's wife, and she works in the office at church. So I have two different means of communication now, sort of filtering down and going, okay, Because some people can, hey, you know what? They're busy themselves, but they got time to pray. Hey, maybe this person uh, isn't so busy. They can help fulfill roles like driving, for example, Abby picking her up or driving her here or whatever I needed, right? So if I wouldn't have had those two means to my disposal to utilize, things would have been way worse. Are things 100% peachy keen? Life's great? Absolutely not. But for myself, it also is almost a learning lesson for me, like a teaching lesson from God, that He does got my back. Because sometimes we think, God, I don't see you moving. So do you really have my back, or what's going on? Because you're not seeing it with your eyes, but we're not seeing the spiritual, what's going behind the scenes sort of thing, right? So for me, that's what, Mo means to me, is it's a brotherhood of guys. And do all the guys that go to Mo belong to Regal? Is it strictly a Regal type men's group, or?
No, it's for anybody who, it's for your friends outside of the church, Tony. Same with you, Rick. Anybody outside the church. It's for any man of the world to come and, get out of the darkness. Get out of the loneliness. Like you said, if you didn't have those two avenues to go to, Tony, you would be the guy we're looking for, that's sitting in the dark saying, how am I going to do this on my own?
Yeah.
We're not made to do it on our own. That's why there's 7-8 billion people in this world. We're not made to sit in a box on our own.
Yeah.
If you sit in a box on your own, those are the stories we don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
Because those are the stories of destruction.
I know with the men of excellence, for myself personally, it's a great chance to get out with the guys once a week, talk and see what's going on with them, get some Bible study in when we do our retreats. And you and Wendell have done a wonderful job at this. You've set up a great group here. You guys work hard at it. And it's good to see you guys every Thursday night.
Yeah, it's a good experience, Rick, but the true passion of the men of excellence is through the men themselves. We don't run it. The men of excellence, there's guys who are stepping forward, there's guys who are talking. Within a McDonald session, there could be 12 people at the table. Yeah. There's 4 different conversations going on.
Yeah, I like that too.
And the thing about it is, you can see the men mentoring each other in different ways. You can see them discipling in the Christian fashion. You can see them talking in a worldly fashion of what's going on in their area of life. Nobody leaves the table angry.
No.
There's never a foul word at the table. If nothing else, you hear guys laughing and having a good time. And the world around us at McDonald's is looking and saying, what's going on with these guys?
Yeah.
Well, it's because we're allowing Christ into our hearts. We're doing what we were told to do. We're building the relationships. We're discipling each other. The things that are necessary. No man goes away from the table alone. We've all got a contact. We can all reach out. It's like Tony said, it's hard to reach out.
Yeah.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
Sure it is. But put the shoe on the other foot. If I called you up, Tony, and said I need something, you gonna hang up the phone on me?
No, I do it.
No, that's what we do for you. That's what you're gonna do for us.
You have a group of men that take care of each other.
That's what we I personally take notice on a Sunday, who's there, who's not there.
Right.
Who's not there on a Thursday night? Who's not, who
you sort of haven't seen in a while or heard from in a while type thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You take notice of those people, and maybe it is the phone call.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just on the other end waiting. Maybe they're on the other end saying, I didn't make a difference.
Yeah.
So that leads me into this question then, Perry. So I can pretty well guarantee you, sometimes you reach out to the same person so many times. How do you know when to sort of like leave that alone for a bit, like let it sit? Like, how do you determine that?
I think it's personal, Tony. I go through that. There's some guys who have come to the group who have left who will never come back.
Okay.
Okay. There are some guys, again, we planted a seed. They're going to fall on a hard time. Maybe the phone's going to ring. It's going to be mine or yours. We're going to pick it up. We're going to talk to them. Okay. I look at it, you know, I'll go a couple months if I don't hear from a certain person. There's not going to be as much emphasis there. But again, you mentioned about the online group.
Yeah.
Well, we all know when it's got a little green dot, the person's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
I send a message when the dot goes blank. I'll send the message again next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know I'm there.
That's right. And plus, you have your email set up too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Email everybody too, right?
Email set up, and I use that as much as possible. Excuse me, especially for the guys who are attending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if anybody's in the church and for some reason they go dormant,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I may not use all my time on the email for express things.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is waiting for them to come back, make the connection back to God.
You're putting the ball in their court, right?
Exactly. And it's been done a few times at church, Tony. You've been there.
Yep.
I've said to the guys, stand up.
Yeah.
Now come up front.
Yeah.
Here's the recognition. And the other guys are sitting there watching.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll say, maybe this is something I want to check into.
Mm.
You know, it's just one of those things. The more we do, the stronger we'll be, the stronger the church will be. Because 2 years ago in church, Tony, I knew you when we walked in the door and we said hello.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. That's right.
Now I know about your life. You know about my life. I know about Christian's life. I know what's going on in Josie's life and Michelle's life.
Yeah.
Because we're building those personal relationships.
Exactly. Yes. And the thing is too, and I'm going to go back to this, is I like the fact that you just don't do one event per month, because sometimes people are working a Thursday night, right? So maybe Thursday nights don't work out for somebody. That's fine. But hopefully the Saturday looks better. And the fact that's, you know what I mean? So it's, and the thing too is it's like any other relationship. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. The less you put into it, that's all you're going to get is whatever you're looking for, right?
And going back to your point there, Tony, because I've said to the men many times, maybe Thursday night works for me. If there's 5 guys that it works for Tuesday night, meeting at Chorus or somewhere else, those 5 guys start that. What me, Wendell, Wally, and Emma started is not in stone. It's a starting point.
Yeah. You're very flexible.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I don't have to be included in everything.
Mm.
Well, you can't do everything anyways, really.
You know? Nobody has to do, but you know, the more advantage, maybe there's going to be somebody within the men's groups that's going to step up. Actually, they already have. Sid.
Okay.
He's doing an alpha group for the church.
That's right.
Wendell, he does a Bible study for the church.
Yeah.
It's open to every man, both those groups. Maybe there's somebody else who will do a Bible study, let's say on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
It's not set in stone.
Yeah.
But you got to get men to step up. Same way I've been saying for the last year or so. Guys, I'm looking for the guy who's going to replace me.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because I've been there for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's time for somebody else to step up. It's not that I'm going to run away. I'm going to support them.
Just a different role. You want to take on a different role.
Sure. You know, but the role the Lord has in me right now, Perry Horn, is the men.
Yeah.
Yeah. You and Wendell are
the
other guys. Yeah.
And Wendell is the same way. He's my brother in Christ. He's my brother in the world. You know, it's just amazing the power of the Lord works in your heart and the people that you surround with. The more faith-based people you surround yourself with, the stronger you're going to be, and you're going to shine a light, and you're going to draw people in who never ever thought of it. And it doesn't mean that they have to start attending Regal or church. But as long as they get associated, you're going to get a taste for you guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
And I like how you do, like when we have our meetings at the church, and you do a Bible study,
Mhm.
and you and Wendell, you do lead the Bible studies, but you also leave it open to the guys if they want to do it.
Yeah.
And when you do that, the guys are allowed to take the Bible study in whatever direction they need to take it in. Any question is allowed.
Yeah.
Any
answer.
Any answer, and we talk about stuff. It's open.
Yeah.
It's not like, well, we're only going to talk about this, we're only going to talk about that, but it's open, and we may be starting out on one particular subject and end up on a whole different subject,
Yeah.
which the guys really want to talk about at the time.
And that has happened, Rick. I can remember Bible study last year at the church. I had about 6 questions. We got to question number 2. One of the gentlemen present had something pressing on his mind.
Yeah.
And for the next 45 minutes, we talked about that. We prayed about that. And that's the thing. We're not rigid. We're not set in stone.
No.
When there's a need, a more pressing need, we're going to address that need the best way that we feel we can at the time. Everybody gets their say. And we try to fill those gaps.
Barry, I also want to mention you have a great range of ages. Like how old would Reg be?
Reg be about, I think, 92.
Okay.
And our youngest member is 10 years old.
There you go. So from 10 to 92.
Yeah.
That shows a lot of depth in the group.
And that shows the other part of it. I've always worried about in the churches, Rick, is the young men growing up.
Yeah.
They need to see the older men. They need to spend time with them, focused time.
Yes.
To come to, even if it's a McDonald's, to hear what the men are talking about.
Yeah.
We've got some great young men. We've got a great young fellow, Zach Adams.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just starting his career. You can see the look in his eyes that we had when we were his age.
Mm.
And with me, I always caution young guys and say, don't follow the money trail.
Yeah.
No.
Don't follow the overtime trail, because you're going to follow that and you're going to look back when you get as old as I am and say, I missed these events because I was doing.
It's almost like regrets, right?
Yeah. Well, you don't learn, or you don't realize till you get older in your faith that I didn't have to work all those hours because I'm taken care of.
Yeah. And the thing is too, with like, I can honestly say other churches I belong to throughout my years, we never really had a men's group per se. We may do, I went to one church that we do a Super Bowl party every year together, right? But it's a one and done sort of thing. It's not really
consistent.
Yeah, this is more of a discipleship. Really, it's behind the scenes discipleship is what it is. Is you're creating a space that people can explore, trying different things. Maybe you've got somebody that says, man, I'd love to give a sermon on this, but I don't want to talk in a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
And they share it with a smaller audience, right?
Exactly.
And plus the younger people seeing this, if I'm expecting my daughter to emulate and do certain things I do, I have to be doing those things myself. So if I'm not showing my vulnerability and being as transparent as I can with people in the group, then I'm just fooling myself and no one's really gaining anything. Because really, I have a lot of respect for people that let down their shields and just let it go, right? Like, just be transparent as possible. And it's messy and it can be dirty sometimes, and people are broken. But if people can see people doing that, then they go, hey, well, the next time I'm going to come forward when I'm hurting, right? So it's almost like an encouragement, because you don't want to be that first person that, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly, Tony. We're not the first person.
No.
somebody's already done it ahead of us. Somebody's already done the men's group. We're evolving in a different way, but we look out to see what's working in other men's group. We let our hearts lead us. Right now in our men's group, we have myself and Sid. We're working on a little package to go out to the people who are struggling in the community.
Right
It's just something that we're working on together. It's something small, but it's something that was never done before.
Yeah.
Sid had the idea, we put it together. We're working on it.
Right.
There's lots more ideas out there for men. Again, it doesn't have to be mine or Wendell's idea.
Right.
Yeah.
You're open to other ideas.
We just put the group together because we saw the basic need that men need men.
Yeah.
And to see it start to evolve is great. The big time it will evolve is when the men step outside the men's group and start actively participating in their church other than being just a seat warmer.
Yeah.
No,
Get
that's
up
good.
there,
Start doing
those
stuff.
Try stuff. Try stuff.
Exactly. Try if
Yeah.
you fail. You know, some of us step out of our comfort zones. We go up front and we sing. The men have done that on a Sunday for the women.
Yeah.
There's things that they can do, things that are available.
So, Perry, is there any sort of success stories you could share with us that's happened because of the men's group with the men in the group? You don't have to mention any names. Is there any sort of highlights you can sort of pinpoint?
Well, I look at one guy here a short time ago. His wife was very ill and he reached out. That's a success story. He needed help to get his family to and from school. He needed help to get his car back from Cobequid. He reached out.
Right.
The success stories are there. It's like miracles. Everybody wants a big miracle.
Yeah, we're all looking for the biblical miracle, the feeding of 5,000.
The little miracles are the biggest ones.
Yeah.
And they sometimes they go unnoticed.
Mm.
The miracles of a helper in the church. Watch young Zach Adams in the church. See what he does.
Yeah.
He fills an awful lot of gaps. Your daughter, Tony, in the church, she's up there at times drumming away. You know.
Yeah.
There's so many things that happen behind the scenes that we just don't see. But they're miracles on their own.
Right.
You know. Don't look for the big miracle. The miracle is when you go to McDonald's next Thursday night, somebody sits down beside you.
Yeah.
That's a miracle.
Or the fact you're even there.
It is-
That's the miracle, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's a thing we don't think of, right?
No, exactly. If you're there on your own. You're not alone. We know you're not alone.
Yeah.
The world thinks you're alone.
Yeah.
But
We're not alone.
no.
Not at all. And I want to go back to the makeup of the group again and the fact that, you know, Zach, we mentioned Zach.
Yeah.
And his dad is there, Scott.
Yeah, Scott.
Right?
Yeah.
So we got both fathers and sons there.
Yeah.
And I like how you mentioned how, you know, the younger generation needs to look to the older generation, but I also think that the older generation needs to look to the younger generation too.
Yeah.
And I think that there can be wisdom exchanged between the two generations.
There can be wreck at times, but it's sometimes it's hard for, like you say, for a father to take his son's advice. Sometimes that's hard. But again, as a father, I'm looking there to say, here's what I did wrong. Mom.
Yeah.
Don't do the
You
same.
can pass
step.
that down to them, right?
Yeah.
The wisdom and knowledge, right?
Yeah.
But it's such a diverse group that we do have the young and old talking together.
I like that too. It's not one set generation in place. It's a generation over time.
So how do you keep this, Perry, from becoming a gentleman's club? Meaning, what I mean in that retrospect or question is, how do you keep it evolving and not staying? You know, sometimes groups will stay at a certain place because they're comfortable, right? How do you evolve away from that so that it's not the same? You're actually moving forward.
I think the progression is year one, we were just evolving. one
Yeah.
night a week at McDonald.
Mm.
Year 2, we were at 2. Next year, we're going to have close to 48 weeks at McDonald's.
Yeah.
We're going to have two retreats. We're going to have 4 Bible studies. We're going to have 5, 6 meetings at the restaurant.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing Lake Echo 10 months,
Yeah.
10 times a year.
Yeah.
There's already slated 70 odd opportunities for men to get together. That just comes from 2 guys. Now we got 50 other guys. Now,
Yeah.
what does Tony want to do on a Wednesday night?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's a good question.
If Tony's not going to say anything, if Tony's going to be a backbencher, it's not going to evolve. It can't evolve through Perry and Wendell. It's going to evolve from the next generation coming in and saying, what haven't they covered?
Mm.
Yeah. That's true.
Me and Wendell are not going to spend countless hours
No.
sitting there worrying about where this is going to go next time when we've got resources of 50 other guys there.
Yeah.
to say,
Yes, that's right.
each of you take a half-hour a week
Yeah.
and think, where can this go?
Yeah. What am I?
Yeah.
Where can this go?
What can we do? Or what
And
can
and
we
the
do?
other the other thing is
Yeah.
not only asking where can this go, but Lord, where do you want me to help this group to go? That's a big thing
Yeah,
too,
that's a
right?
big
Like
thing.
sometimes we rely on other people because they're driving the proverbial bus, and we're thinking, okay, these guys are stopping at these particular stops. It's like Metro Transit. If there's a sign there, pull the bell. You know,
Exactly. It's like Wendell's the mechanic. He changed the tires. I'm the gas jockey. I filled the bus.
that's right.
Yeah.
Tony, you're driving today. Where are we going?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Where are we
Yeah.
going?
So
What is new?
So that leads me into this question. How do you motivate? So when I was in the military, I had to motivate my guys a lot to do stuff that they may not wanted to do because it's outside their comfort zone. How do you motivate and support the guys to get them encouraged to want to step out? Okay.
Amen.
Yeah.
In the real world, if you motivated the guys how you had to motivate them in the forces,
Yeah.
sometimes it wasn't the right way, was it?
Nope, that's right.
You're doing what you were told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With us, it's prayer, and it's got to be led by your heart, or it's not real.
Yeah. And I think that's the hardest challenge, right? Because as like I could say, because I'll be honest, Rick and I have been doing this since February. It's had its ups and downs, and it's had its discouragements, and it's had its frustrations. Trust me, more me than Rick. But do you know what I'm saying? So, because I mean, this is big time outside my comfort zone. I think this is sort of big time outside Rick's comfort zone in some ways. But sometimes when I look at episodes being seen or whatnot, I go, man, like you almost wrestle with yourself and go, it's worth it, but what can I do to improve this to make it excel? Then you got to bring it back to God. And you got to say, you know what, God, this is yours. This isn't mine. I'm just a vessel. And I'm taking a guess that's the way you guys treat the men's group, right?
Exactly. It's from day one. It's here's how we need to start it. Let's keep on going. Ready to step forward. Let's start a devotion to men.
Yeah.
Sid has stepped forward. He wants to help the church with an alpha group. He's working that.
Right.
Wendell's got an awesome Bible study. I can't say much more than that.
Yeah.
But
That's right.
it's the next steps. It's going to come from the guys because I don't want you to just become a seat warmer.
Yeah.
I want you to become active. If you become active, your family's going to notice a change.
That's right.
Okay? They'll notice a change in you. You can't tell me that Scott isn't, or Zach isn't proud of his dad, the way his dad speaks at our meetings. He's an awesome guy. He's got an awesome story to tell. Just the camaraderie, the relationships, the discipling that goes on the Thursday night. It's amazing. And the world is watching. But I also caution the guys on one thing with our group is there's somebody else watching too.
That you may not see is watching.
They don't like it.
Yeah.
And we've got to be cautious. That's where the communication, the relationships have to be solid, strong. And when somebody slips, they have to reach out or either be reached out to.
Yeah.
And the thing is, just getting back to Zach and his dad, was it Zach's dad that brought Zach to the men's group, or is it Zach that brought his dad to the men's group? How did that
I
evolve?
think Zach was there first.
Yeah.
Same way that Scott came initially, from what I understand, the church was he wanted to see what was going on inside where his son was active.
Okay. So Zach was involved with the church and the youth group, because I know Zach's had a relationship with youth groups and a relationship way back with Jason.
Yeah.
So obviously, hey, what a perfect example. Sometimes we think, oh, how am I going to make a difference? Right there. If Zach would have never continued with church or went to this men's group, his dad would have never went, what's this church all about?
We would never have met him maybe at Regal.
Yeah.
Let's hope that the Lord would have taken Scott to another church.
Yeah.
Even anyone, again, go back to the men's group, it's not just Regal.
Yeah.
Any other person in HRM that wishes to associate with the group, be part of it, whether they are a true believer or not, we're there to open a door.
So you guys also embrace a non-believer, right? So because they might be apprehensive about, like, really, if you think about it, if I asked any of my male friends to go to church with me, most of them, their answer is going to be, I'll self-combust when I walk through the doors. But if I go, hey, do you want to come to McDonald's tonight? A few guys from the church meet there. Already, it's a non-intrusive sort of environment, so they let their shields down. People, when they're eating and drinking, already let their shields down anyways. It's a proven fact because your body relaxes more. So I think that's awesome that you do that. And have you ever, so when you guys have been doing this McDonald's, Perry, has there ever been a time when you guys have had, like, how have you known other people have paid attention to what's going on or questioned? Have you had conversations with people?
We were in the Palladium one time over a year ago. Gentleman came in there, his name was Mike Smoke. His brother-in-law was from Ontario.
Yeah.
You knew the guy in the show.
Yeah, I knew his nephew. They came down for the wedding.
Now, Mike, I trailed for quite a while on email chain trying to connect.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. Less than a month ago, I'm down on the boardwalk walking around, and it's just every day I went down there and met somebody else.
Right.
We talked to him. And this guy was walking along. I said, man, he looks familiar. So I said, how's the weather? And he started talking, well, I'm from Ontario. It's there. And I said, couldn't be the same guy. So we chatted. And lo and behold, he said, yeah, I was at Palladium here about, 2 months ago. And I sat down with this church group and I said, hi, man, that was us.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that word you use, Tony?
Godsidence, not coincidence.
So we've got opportunities there every day, every chance. If we don't take them, they're lost.
Yeah.
We've got opportunities. And 9 times out of 10, I've never had somebody come back negative when I've talked about church.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
They haven't felt that it was an attack. They actually were more receptive, probably.
Yeah, exactly. And respectful of what was going on, So there have been times, and it's small things.
Yeah.
Don't look for the big things. Big things not going to happen.
And in all honesty, so Perry and I do the door together, okay? And at Regal, that's right. So what I could speak of from there is last Christmas, Perry and I are greeting at the door, and this guy came in, and I gave him a handshake because you normally know the people that want a hug or a handshake. Usually I'll ask them, or Perry will ask them, is this your first time in attendance? And we'll say, it's great that you're here, and it's good that you're here. And we had one guy turn to us and go, it's good to be seen. So that speaks volume, like, really, for him to recognize the fact that somebody acknowledged him being present and felt good. And that's how do you keep that welcoming thing come into the group? Because we have these different conversations going on, in different places. How do you keep people engaged? Like, I guess is my question is how do you welcome the people? Say, for example, you're busy talking to somebody strolls in that's never been there before. How do the guys sort of, or just do the guys pick up and go, hey, how you doing? Or
Well, if they've been coming in the group, they should be able to figure out who's new.
That's
They
right.
don't need me to do an introduction.
And
yeah,
I'm not a facilitator.
no, that's right.
Neither is what facilitators. We're like Pastor Jason. We're there as
Attendees. Yeah.
not as anything other than that. We're trying to move more and more away from Perry or Wendell doing a
Yeah.
Bible study, Perry or Wendell doing a devotional. We're trying to get the guys to take those small steps and start doing a devotional in front of 6, 8, 12 guys that they're okay. That someday they're going to do a devotional or reading in front of
Or announcements.
a church of 100 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
Exactly. Church of 100 people is what needs to be done.
I think what I noticed too when there's a new person that comes in to McDonald's, and it's like, oh, the guys will say, hey, pull up a chair.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Yeah.
Come on in and talk to us. You're part of the group. You're one of us. And it's a feeling of being, of reaching out and bringing them in and let them do their thing.
And it's like anything. They may not talk much on the first night.
And you don't have to.
It's like,
Or at all.
That's right.
They're assessing the situation. It's like somebody who walks in the first day in church. You don't go up to them right away and say, you're going to do X, Y, Z.
No.
No.
You're going to go up and say, have a seat, sit back and enjoy it.
Sit wherever you'd like. Glad you're here.
Today,
Yeah.
your name or anything.
Yeah.
I won't remember it next week. You won't remember my name.
Yeah.
But, sit back and enjoy. And I always tell them, there's no names on any seats here.
No. That's right. And that's an awesome thing. So for our listeners, Perry, if someone was trying to get a men's group started or trying to get some type of group started in their church, what would your sort of next steps or things to consider or next course of action be for those listeners if they wanted to try
If
something?
you were interested in starting a men's group, get a hold of me through Tony. I'll let you know how we started.
Okay.
That's all I can do.
Yeah.
First, prayer and listen to your heart. Set it up with see what your church needs.
Yeah.
If it was like our church, it needs men to get involved.
Yeah.
And why is it so important? Why are we seeing in society men having, and I'm not saying women don't have a hard go, but men seem to be having more of a struggle. I'd call it a silent struggle than any other demographic. Why is that's that way? Is it the way we're wired, or?
I think in my generation, 65, so it's an old generation. My generation was the man had to succeed at all costs. I can't speak for all the generations of today, but the world has a bigger grip on you than it ever had on me.
Yeah.
There are more things to distract you from benefits to ease the pain of what you think is suffering.
Yeah.
It's not suffering. What you're missing out on is something
Greater.
Yeah, spectacular. Don't sit in the darkness alone. There's men there that you can join with. There's people that have already been through whatever trauma you're going through now or life experience, or somebody who's already been there. Or if you take time to listen,
Get to know.
they may get to know, help you, support your family.
Yeah.
As I told one of my guys in my group, he's got a teenage daughter. I lived through 4 of them. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
You got the experience.
Yeah.
It is hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel sometimes, Perry, when the tunnel seems like it's a couple miles away still, right?
Yeah.
So how did you guys, and I don't know if you guys dealt with this when you're creating the group, discouragement, how did you deal with those little things that came up and sort of maybe discouraged you a bit? How did you get through that?
Through me and Wendell, we support each other heavily through prayer. There are things that are going to happen through life, and I'm not going to get into it.
Nope, for sure.
No.
Things that have happened in the men's group, you're going to have some really spectacular wins. You're going to have some really hurtful failures.
Yeah.
It's life, right?
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
it's hard. But the thing is, pick yourself up, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. The Lord is with you. He's going to support you. Those failures, some of them are, like I say, going to be very hurtful. But it wasn't something you did. It was something outside the realm of
what you could do.
You did the best you could do. Just keep going.
Right on. And so I really truly appreciate the group and the dynamic and just to sort of echo what Rick's been alluding to and saying all along is you and Wendell are very good stewards of what God's blessed you with, right? So that in itself says a lot. If God's using people in certain ministries, right, is to keep that in mind, is that God wants you to be a good steward of whatever he gives you. You don't have to be the most, qualified person at the job, because you look at the disciples, none of them were qualified. Really.
And you just hit the right word there, Tony. Discipleship is teaching the next person to come alongside, to mentor to them, to have them take over. Every major leader in the Bible ended up at the end of their journey, they were transitioning through somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is the end of my life's journey, but this is maybe the end of my journey as part of the leadership.
Yep, that's right.
Leadership's not right, but the people who set up the group,
Yeah.
for the next person to come along with the newer ideas.
Yeah.
The newer vision.
Yeah.
Because there's so many ways, and they have to just come out and say, here's what's hurting my life. Maybe if I started a couples night every Thursday night, it's going to help.
Or once a month or something.
Exactly. There's other things that are there. Just don't sit back, because you're going to sit back so long, and then you're going to say, why? Because I say, why didn't I start this 10 years ago?
Well, the good thing I've learned about the Lord is it's his time, right? So, God gave me a whole vision over 2 years ago about all this. Didn't look like this, but he also told me it wouldn't look like this the way I was thinking. So sometimes God takes a while because he's got to put the right people in your path that can help with your vision or help support your vision, right? Or help you along your vision, right? And sometimes we don't see God moving. We're thinking, okay, God, seriously, we think we're in rush hour traffic, right? We think it's a do or die, do it now sort of thing.
Yeah.
But no, it's true. And the big sort of point you've been referencing all day has been prayer. That's the number one. I think we underestimate that a lot of times as Christian, how powerful prayer can be. And just to know somebody's praying for you, that in itself is huge.
Well, as you said, as Christians, we don't think it's powerful all the time. Imagine what the world thinks.
Oh, exactly.
Doesn't do nothing.
No.
So we've got to acknowledge that it has an effect, and it brings everybody together. It brings us on the same level. And, sometime when you're just got the chance, opportunity, sit and listen.
Yeah.
Whether it's here in the office, whether it's down the shore, sit and listen. Allow him to come into your heart to understand this is what you need. That's what happened to me on the deck.
Yeah.
What was wrong here?
Yeah.
And wrong here was so many people in my life wasn't meant to be always quiet.
Yeah.
Let them
Yeah.
know. So it's the things that each of us can do. Don't leave it up to the so-called leaders. We're waiting for them to make the move to say, hey, this is what we need.
So the men's group's coming up into its third year in 2025, correct? So when you and Wendell sit down to sort of chisel out, like sort of the year, what you'd like to see happen within the group, do the men input and say, hey, I'd like to see this happen? Or do you guys just sort of come up with that yourselves? Or does God download something to you guys?
Well, you know what? You guys have been around the men's group. You've seen the emails. What's the guy tell you on that?
Yeah, nothing.
What's he ask?
Crickets.
Oh, he said, what do you guys need?
Yeah.
Step up. I put it on email.
Yeah.
The email is going in fall 13.
Yeah, I know.
You know, this isn't just a Legion group or anything like that, or the Buffalo Club.
Right.
They're good groups. They do necessary causes within the community.
Yeah. But this is different.
For your faith, for your heart. I don't need money at the end of the month so you stay in the group. Okay?
Yeah.
This is for you.
Yeah.
The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So I don't need want anybody saying, why didn't they think of this? Well, you just saw it.
Yeah, exactly.
Let us know how it evolves.
Yeah.
You know, we just initiated something, started. It's working well. It's grown. But the next big steps are the guys out there.
Yeah.
Are the guys out there. What do they want? And we're taking steps, with things. We've got 3 or 4 guys that are set up to pray for people throughout the month as prayers.
As needed sort of thing, right?
Listen, you know what? I said there's 50 guys in the group. And how many times have I sent out a list? This is what's going on this month. And hey, guys, got any prayer concerns?
Yeah.
You know how many replied to me with prayer concerns?
Probably less than 25%.
And 2%.
Wowzers.
Right?
Yeah.
That you get also do the list of 20 prayers that Mary Horn just sees in the church, but they could be 20 prayers somebody else sees in the church or sees out in life.
Yeah.
But they're not telling me, so we can't pray together.
Yeah.
Do you get anybody coming in like in the background, like they may not say something on the messenger site?
Oh, I think
or maybe say to you verbally one-on-one
or call you or text you or
if they do
sort of the back channel type deal.
If they do, would you mind if I tell the guys to pray for Brenda?
Yeah.
Chris, do you mind? Reg has been sick. We're going to put Reg in.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll do those things.
Yeah.
I'll do those.
Yeah.
Things. Yes.
So they don't necessarily have to come on the open messenger site. They can get a hold of you on a one-on-one basis too, right?
The monthly one I send out to you.
Yes.
They can respond back to that and say, "Hey, I need prayers for Ben because Ben is going to Europe this year to train."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or something.
Yes.
But it's one-way conversation most of the time.
Okay.
So how did the group get connected with Mineville Group? How did that all transpire?
Reg Wilkes again.
Wow.
Yep. Reg said, "Hey, there's great breakfast down in Linesville next Saturday. Do you guys want to come?" Sure. And we never stopped coming. It's been 6 to 8 months.
Did we start in February? I'm even trying to remember. It was sometime in the winter. Yeah.
It was
great. That's a great breakfast.
And again, that church itself, that whole breakfast again, is you've got different men from different churches So it's not necessarily, and again, the great thing I like about it is it's men supporting men. You're getting to hear, first of all, you're getting to talk to different people. And you're getting to hear, because they usually have someone give either a teaching lesson or part of a testimony or a talk or whatever. So you're getting to hear a different perspective from somebody else's life, right? Because sometimes I find our testimony is one of the most powerful things you could give. And I'm a firm believer. I think God's given me many testimonies to use at different points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to use a testimony of how I came to Christ to someone that's dying of cancer, but I am going to talk about, hey, this is what happened. My mom got sick when I was cancer.
You held her hand.
Yeah. And I was 19 years old and she died and I was mad at God. Yeah. Well, wait a minute now. I've got their attention. They want to hear how I sort of came back around, right?
How you were mad at God and how they were mad at God.
That's right.
And how did you come back to God?
That's right.
Find those things. Those are the relationships that are built at the table, that are built one-on-one with people.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can have a McDonald's night going on that there's 3 or 4 different conversations, 3 guys involved here, 3 guys here. And I've had the one-on-one with gentlemen.
Yeah.
Expressing what's going on. I've talked to them for 30 minutes straight. And we had a personal conversation in a vibrant McDonald's night.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's what the people are looking for, and that's what they need. The biggest thing is, if you don't reach out, it makes us harder to reach in.
Yeah, that's right.
If you know, I can check you out on Facebook, and if you're going to turn from green to dark, there's not much I can guard. But you know, and I know, as soon as you turn from green to dark, you know that I'm out there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You know,
the connection's already been made.
Yeah, the connection. It's too late. You can't take it back. You know that I'm out there now. Maybe I've said something wrong that may have offended you or upset you, but hey, I'm going to do that to each and every one someday.
Yeah.
But you know what? Next Thursday night, next Sunday, I'm going to be there again.
Yeah. And that almost reminds me of the famous photo of Jesus on one side of the door, no handle, and it shows the inside of the door with the handle, right? So the invitation's been made. It's up to you to open the door and fully accept that, right?
And my way is not always the right way, but I'll show you where I fell down.
Yeah.
And I'll show you how I got myself picked back up and how I went on.
And I think, too, as men, and I'm not saying women don't do this, but I find typically men like to put on a mask, right? They like to put on a mask that everything's great, everything's good in my world. I've got stuff going on, but it's not really that important.
And I'll hide behind my door.
That's right.
I'm not going to share that.
Yeah.
That's right. I don't want to show them weak. I don't want to show them vulnerable. Go to my man cave.
Open up the fridge, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but as you're talking with about the women too, you know, I've heard more women say, "Man, you guys are spending so much time out together. And what's going on?"
Oh yeah.
But they can see a change in the men.
Yeah.
So I challenge the women: get active. See what we've got going on. You know what? So Tony goes over to the house on a Thursday night to McDonald.
Brenda goes, thank God.
So when Brenda goes out on a Tuesday night for
whatever
choras or whatever, well, Tony, it's your night to look after the children.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It'll be a much healthier church, much healthier situation, much healthier family.
Yeah.
But you know what? When I go out to McDonald's every Thursday night, Bonnie knows who I'm out with.
Yeah.
Knows where I'm at. It's not like saying, hey, I'm going around the corner to have a few beers with the guys.
Right.
Yeah.
She knows where I'm at. She knows Wendell's there too. And
you're in good hands.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're in good hands.
And we're doing good work.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Perry, for coming to share. And I was just wondering if you could just lead the viewers out in prayer. Like, I really, my prayer every time we do something like this is that God would just open up people's eyes and ears and speak directly to them, right? Like, we can tell them till we're blue in the face how important it is to be connected to something, right? But until they accept that fact that, hey, I got to try this out, you know, so just ask if you could just lead us out in prayer today, just to the viewers.
So, Lord, come to you with open hearts. We know that you were able to touch each and every heart here on this earth, Father. Allow them to understand it's good at times to be vulnerable, good to be searching, look for the relationships, get together with the brothers, enjoy time together and grow. Never be alone in the darkness, Lord, because the darkness will take you, but find those in the light to guide you each and every day. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks,
And
Perry.
and thanks a lot, Perry. And for our listeners out there, if you're listening to us on whatever platform you happen to be listening to, the best way to stay tuned to us, that to stay connected, to know we're coming out with new material, because roughly every 3 weeks or so, select the bell notification. That'll automatically tell you, first of all, subscribe, then select the bell notification, because that'll let you know, hey, there's something new I should check out from these guys. If you have any questions, we've got a website, and the links are on our YouTube page and our main page. And once again, God bless. Thank you guys for out there taking time out to listen to us. Thank you, Perry, for coming in and sharing. I know it's a bit different outside the box experience for you than talking with us here, vice McDonald's, but it's the same thing, buddy. We appreciate you.
I hope for the men of excellence that have done you justice today here, saying what you're about and what we're going to accomplish.
Yeah,
those are the big things.
We hope this will help promote Men of Excellence.
Yeah,
that's right.
Get the message out there, and just want to invite people to hit that like button.
Yeah,
and like us too.
Yeah, please like us. We're pretty likable people, and I'm excited about the future for Mo, because I think it's going to evolve way beyond any of us could even imagine. And once again, thank you. Have a blessed rest of your week. God bless.